This is Goals with Soul, the podcast for visionary coaches and entrepreneurs, building your business with inspired action. In alignment with your mission and authentic message, so you can create impact for your soul clients and feel lit up every day. I'm your host, Jo Ingram, married mum of 3 daughters from London and a former ad agency director turned business coach and strategist. In Goals with Soul, we blend revenue generation with energetics, marketing strategies with pranic healing, and ambitious business goals with our soul's desires. If you're looking to build your business with less efforting and more ease, this is the podcast for you. Let's dive in. We all talk the talk about stepping out of our comfort zone, but are you walking the walk? Are you really pushing yourself to that edge where you feel discomfort, where you don't want to do it anymore, and yet you push yourself through and reap the rewards of moving to your next level? Well, today on Goals with Soul, I want to share an experience I had that took me to the edge of my comfort zone, and it was around discovery calls. Now, as a coach, I'm sure that you are more than familiar with discovery calls. And it's something that comes up frequently for coaches, particularly when you're quite new to the industry, the discomfort of the discovery call, which could also be termed a sales call. And that's where so many of us lose our nerve. How will I sell on a discovery call? And so people start the discovery call process, and perhaps like me, you started basically doing free sessions, because that's what a discovery call can become if you're not in control and taking the leadership stance about what a discovery call could and should be. And so you dive in to their problems and you help coach them on the call. And then hopefully at the end, you would mention that you have an offer and a way to help them. Unless, perhaps like me at the very beginning, I ran out of time and didn't even get to the offer. And discovery calls can end up a bit of a minefield. But to up-level how you do those discovery calls, and therefore how well your business does and how many one-to-one clients or group program clients join you, you have to push against that edge. Now, I had learned a lot about how to improve my discovery calls. For example, I learned that taking the lead at the beginning of the call and stating very clearly why we're here and what you're going to help them with, and that you're going to share how you help them, and also get their permission to do that, get them to agree, is a really great start to the call. It sets you up as the authority and the reason why they want to speak to you in the first place. And then after you've listened to them very carefully and reflected back, helped them a little and given them a taste for how you coach, I find it's really great to then say, would you like to hear a little bit how I help my clients? To which, of course, they're very, very keen to hear you. And then you can introduce your program, and particularly the results that they could expect to get when they work with you. Now, what happens at the end of the discovery call? Now, most frequently, people say, well, that's great. Thanks a lot. And as a coach who might be just starting out, it's easy enough to say, awesome. Well, let me know if you've got any questions, or let me know if you want to proceed, and we'll chat soon. Bye. And that was the way that I was running calls. And why was that? That was because I felt icky about sales. I came from a corporate background. I think I've got a bit of a British sensibility, which culturally isn't that straight talking. And I felt that, I don't want to be pushy and I don't want to sell hard. I want to respect them. But what I hadn't really understood there, and it's a hard lesson to learn, is that by being a bit wishy-washy and soft, you are not actually serving them at all. It's not about coercing someone or bludgeoning them with your offer. It's about taking the leadership stance that says, I know how to help you with your problem, and this is the next step that's going to empower you and create transformation. When you're deeply passionate about what you do and you make it your mission, it can really unlock the ease when it comes to selling. I'm going to talk about this in a lot more detail in another episode. But mission marketing is one of the core areas I dive into in my program, both with groups and with my one-to-one. My belief is that when you make something your mission, it's almost impossible not to sell, because the passion just shines through. It's not about the sale. It's about helping them create the transformation. And when you feel that kind of energy, you can't help but put your offer forward. You can't help but describe the benefits that they're going to get from working with you and making those changes, taking that action, getting the implementation in place, all those steps that alone they haven't been achieving. And so back to getting out of your comfort zone and where I fell down, or the most recent way that I fell down. And that was not following up after a discovery call. So when the client says, or prospective client says, I'll think about it, I'll get back to you. I had just taken that at face value and been really nervous to reconnect with them. Nervous to say, oh, hey, have you got any questions? We're coming up for the deadline of the offer. Is there anything else you'd like to chat about? Or perhaps you'd like to move forward? In fact, I did the opposite. I shied away. I chose not to think about it. Well, maybe it's not meant to be, were my thoughts. The energy might not be right. But the exact opposite was actually true. It requires that energy, that energetic connection between you and that prospective client to help them really make the right decision. And working with my own coach, she challenged and encouraged me to reach out a second time, to ask, would you like a follow-up call? Let's talk about it. You're not ready to commit. Let's talk about what's stopping you. You're concerned about certain aspects of the program. Let's dive into that and find out whether they're really not a good fit or whether it's just resistance. And when my coach first asked me to do this, recontact them, offer them a second discovery call and ask those difficult questions, I just did not want to do it. I literally thought, and this literally went through my mind, I kind of want to give up this business. Now, how crazy is that? I went from feeling high, getting discovery calls, having somebody that wasn't sure, but okay, to feeling that, oh my God, if I have to recontact them and have that difficult conversation that feels like selling, then why am I even in this business? Maybe I should get a job back in corporate. Now, to be clear, that was a very fleeting thought, but it disturbed me. It's like, wow, is my resistance to getting out of my comfort zone so ingrained in my subconscious that those thoughts would arise? And I realized, of course, that this was something I had to do for two reasons. Firstly, because my coach was suggesting I do it, a coach that had been there before me and had already had success in this way. I had already committed in my own mind to doing those difficult things that my coach suggested. It's the same way that I work with my own clients. It's the same commitment that I ask for from my own clients, that you make the full body commitment, spirit, soul, and everything to challenge your own resistance and take those difficult steps. That's why you hire a coach, among other things. So that was my first reason for knowing that I had to do it. And secondly, I knew I had to do it from a pure comfort zone reason. I know that to progress my business, I have to leave my comfort zone. And if some resistance is pulling me back with that kind of visceral response about quitting the whole industry, I know that this is a challenge that's here for a reason. This is a contrast that's been gifted to me between the discomfort of being where I am now and to the other side. And so I embraced it. I decided that I would, of course, reach out to that client. And not only that client, I was going to better it because I have that type A gene, which said, actually, I'm going to reach out to a couple of clients that have had this situation lately after a discovery call. And I'm going to commit to chatting with them further, finding out more about what objections they might have and helping them understand how we could overcome that if they should wish to work with me. What I didn't do is attach an outcome to the sale, as tempting as it was. I didn't say, well, you know what, I'm going to do what I'm being told and I expect to get a sale and I'm going to be deeply disappointed if I don't. Instead, I decided that I'm going to put this call in to change myself, to be the sort of person, the woman, the coach who can do difficult things, who can put herself forward and create her mission and help people overcome objections so they can truly get the transformation that they need and that will help them get their business to the next level. I want to be that person now, and this step is going to help me become her. And that is exactly what I did. I put that call in. I had what felt like at first a difficult conversation. But you know what? Once I got in flow, it was far from difficult. It was actually joyful because speaking to clients is the part of the business that I love the most. So when I got on that call, it just flowed. And of course, it did go really, really well. Now, I'm not going to tell you whether I made the sale or not, because that isn't the point of this particular episode. The point of this episode is that you're not going to make the sale if you don't put yourself forward and get out of your comfort zone. The point is that you're not going to create the transformation for your clients if you're allowing yourself to just sit where you're comfortable and not really take the steps that resistance is currently keeping you stuck from. Now, whether it's a discovery call issue, selling, or anything else in your business, today's episode, I hope, is an opportunity for you to think a little bit about where that resistance is coming up. Being ambitious, being high achieving does not create immunity from mega resistance. In fact, the opposite. Sometimes we think we know so much about ourselves and the way our business should be that we don't even spot the resistance. We find distractions. We get busy in lots of other tasks because we're avoiding that one that pushes us out of our comfort zone. Perhaps we're procrastinating about things. Perhaps we're diving into perfectionism and doing things 10 times over and making everything perfect simply because we're scared of putting it out there, pushing ourselves to the limit beyond that comfort zone. But so much of the rewards are the other side of that resistance. They're beyond the edge of your comfort zone. It's like taking those 20 seconds of courage to step through the door to your next level self. It reminds me of the be, do, have model. Perhaps you're familiar with it. It simply states that in order to have the things you want to have, you need to do the things you need to do. But first of all, you have to be the person that will take those actions to gain those rewards. And being that person is the first step. That's going beyond your comfort zone and taking those tricky, difficult, uncomfortable actions that are ultimately going to make you into the person that can do anything. And once you're there, well then, of course, the sky's the limit. I loved the lesson of the discovery call for me, learning that there were things that you could do that are beyond your comfort zone, that are not only things that benefit you, but also benefit your clients. Because when you get beyond your comfort zone, being your higher level self helps you show up stronger energetically and also taking actions that are in far, far greater alignment with what your clients actually need from you in that moment. And it all starts with a simple decision to take an action that's beyond your comfort zone. In Time to Rise, my new group program, we're going to be diving into those challenges that keep us stuck and held back. It's the idea that when we have clarity on who we want to be in order to progress our business, we simply start behaving like that now. We have those thoughts and those feelings and those behaviors. We embody them now and quantum leap our success. It's one of the essential ingredients to being in complete alignment with your unique messaging, to understand how your stories and unique gifts can be crafted and packaged in such a way that literally calls to your soul clients. If you're called to taking that next step, there's a link in the show notes where you can book a business breakthrough call and we can dive into exactly what your needs are and whether the program is right for you. Now, I hope to speak to you soon. And in the meantime, have an inspired action week. Take care. Bye now.